2 days pass, and with the help of other goblins, Lin Tian successfully creates a spear with an iron blade. Though it isn't pretty, it is a major accomplishment for Lin Tian and the goblins. The goblins can't believe Lin Tian actually creates a weapon out of iron, but they wonder if it will work. To prove the effectiveness of the new weapon, Lin Tian easily plunges the spearhead into the tough skull of the #1 crocodile wolf. As expected, the spearhead pierces through. Lin Tian grins and says, "Looks like I just invented polka dot for crocodile wolves." The goblin Lin Tian saved before is incredibly excited. He points at the crocodile wolf's corpse and exclaims, "Well, that was faster than a goblin with his tail on fire." This demonstrates that Lin Tian can indeed make weapons. The other goblins agree that the iron spear is much stronger than the stone spears. While the goblins discuss this, Lin Tian holds the spear high and asks if they want weapons like this. Without hesitation, the other goblins shout decisively that they do and hail him as a god. One goblin jokes, "I'd say you are the god of sharp objects." Only one goblin is not happy, the goblin leader. He is upset that a newcomer has stolen his respect. The leader grabs attention by slamming the skullhead staff in his hand onto the ground. With menacing red eyes, he admits that Lin isn't lying, but says it isn't enough for Lin Tian to stay in the tribe. While Lin Tian and the other goblins listen, the leader demands that Lin create 50 iron spears within 2 days. After making his demand, the leader immediately leaves, seeing it as a step forward in his plan. On the day of delivery, Lin completes the 50 iron spears. With the same menacing look and cunning smile, the leader says, well, Mr. Overachiever, you actually did it." He then announces that Lin can now stay. To celebrate his joining the tribe, the leader decides to hold a feast and demands that everyone participate. The goblins immediately start dancing and celebrating. The feast quickly takes place around the bonfire. Gobu cuts out a piece of pork and brings it to Lin Tian, as it is the best part, and she wants him to eat it. Lin Tian happily accepts, but after eating for a while, a sharp pain hits him. Lin Tian falls to the ground in agony, and Gobu is scared. It is clear that Lin has been poisoned. The poisoner is none other than the leader. He walks up to Lin with an evil smile and says, "You know, trusting me was your first mistake. Your second mistake was, well, I guess just trusting me again." The leader tells Lin Tian he is too stupid and says he knows Lin Tian's true intentions. He adds, "Those who dare challenge my authority only get one prize, a one-way ticket to Goblin Hell." Before Lin can speak, the leader grabs Gobu's hair and pulls her towards him. The leader says, "I see you care about her very much. So let me introduce you to my favorite hobby, making people miserable." A red line of blood appears on Gobu's neck as the leader's claw stabs into her. The leader wants to crush Lin Tian's arrogance and make him suffer. In Gobu's scared eyes, a red stream of blood spurts out, but it isn't Gobu's blood. It's the leader's, as his arm is cut off. Lin Tian has done it. The leader fearfully asks, "How are you moving? Did someone forget to tell you that you're poisoned?" Lin Tian smiles and says, "Guess I'm just too stubborn to die." "Oh, and I knew you were going to poison me. Got a little heads up from the system. Thanks for the heads up, by the way." The leader is now incredibly upset. He has no choice but to fight, but he has lost an arm, so his fighting power has decreased. He uses the bone chain in his hand to attack Lin Tian. Lin Tian quickly responds with rapid movements, easily dodging the attack. He jumps, and his iron knife aims at the leader's head. The leader is killed. The goblins see that their leader is dead and are scared. Lin Tian looks at them and declares, "Guess what, folks? You've got a new leader, and I promise you'll always have meat to eat." He hugs Gobu and raises his knife high, declaring his supremacy over the tribe. With Lin Tian's strength, the other goblins readily agree to him being their leader. After all, they are simple-minded creatures who only care about meat and mating. As a reward for their loyalty, Lin Tian offers them the leader's corpse. Given permission, they immediately reveal their wild nature. They devour the corpse in a cruel and savage way, making Lunun feel disgusted, but he mutters to himself, "Well, at least I won't have to worry about leftovers." What matters to him now is building his tribe, nurturing the next generation of goblins to make the tribe stronger. This is just the first step in his revenge. Amidst the chaos, no one notices a pair of eyes watching everything from afar. It is a golden-haired elf girl, witnessing the scene and wondering, what in the name of all things magical is happening here? Chapter #6. Under the eerie moonlight, strange houses emerge from the shadows of towering trees. An elf girl moves swiftly, leaping from tree to tree, before slipping into a brightly lit house. This girl is Kasana, the princess of the elf community. She has been secretly observing Lin Tian's goblin tribe, gathering information. Her heart races as she hurries through the house, eager to report to her mother. A guard elf spots her and smiles, clearly relieved to see her return. But Kasana ignores him, brushing past without a word. Her mind is too full of the strange events she has witnessed. Pushing open a door, she rushes into the room and immediately speaks to her mother, the queen. Kasana tells her of the strange activity in the goblin tribe in the eastern forest. But as she finishes speaking, she notices the scene inside the room. Kasana freezes, her face turning red. She stammers an apology, trying to excuse herself. But before she can leave, the queen's voice cuts through her embarrassment. The queen demands that Kasana stay and explain the urgent matter that brought her there. The queen listens with mild interest, for she views goblins as nothing more than low-level, feeble, and dirty creatures. Kasana, catching her breath, quickly explains that she found the remains of a massive bear in the demon forest. The bear was completely mangled, with signs of a fierce battle and numerous goblin footprints all around. Kasana's voice grows anxious as she explains that this bear is one of the mightiest creatures in the forest, something no goblin should be able to kill. What worries her more is that just a few days ago, she saw a young goblin kill the goblin leader. She fears the two events are connected. The queen, though slightly surprised by the news of a new goblin leader, remains mostly unconcerned. What intrigues her, however, is the increasing number of goblins in the forest. The queen snaps her fingers, dismissing the men who had been attending her. She orders Kasana to lead a group to the goblin tribe and eradicate them. However, she instructs her daughter to leave a few goblins alive, revealing that she needs their hearts to concoct a potion for the elf men. Kasana hesitates, knowing the effects of the elixir her mother plans to make. But she bows her head and accepts the mission, feeling uneasy about the queen's true intentions. Before leaving, the queen rewards Kasana for her hard work by offering her a night with a man of her choice. Kasana, embarrassed and taken aback by the offer, quickly makes an excuse about needing to prepare for the mission and bids farewell to her mother. Meanwhile, at Lin Tian's camp, the goblins gather around a detailed map of the elf tribe. This map, meticulously researched by Lin Tian's subordinates, shows the layout of the elf village, with its 30 houses located at high elevations in the trees. Lin Tian praises his subordinates for their work and promises them a reward of 2 elf girls, each after they defeat the tribe. He then instructs everyone to prepare iron weapons for the battle ahead. Although the idea of attacking another tribe does not bring Lin Tian joy, he knows that in this world, survival is determined by strength. If he does not build his tribe into a formidable force, they will eventually be wiped out. He carefully assesses the situation. The elf village consists of 30 houses. If each house holds 2 elves, that makes a total of 60 elves. Considering the 10 elves guarding the mine, the tribe should have at least 70 individuals. Lin Tian recalls how, since the demise of their former leader, he has led the goblins in crafting weapons and hunting monsters. These efforts have greatly enhanced their abilities. The goblins, under Lin Tian's command, surged through the forest like a tidal wave, slaying numerous monsters and consuming their flesh. By devouring these monsters, many goblins acquire new skills, such as tusk attacks, skin toughened like stone, silent movement, and venom production. Although not all goblins gain these abilities, the overall strength of the tribe has improved significantly. Some exceptional goblins have even reached level 18, boasting impressive stats. Combined with their basic iron spears and armor, the tribe's total strength now stands at 250, with the average goblin's strength reaching 200. Despite these gains, Lin Tian knows that the collective strength of the elf tribe still surpasses theirs. This leaves Lin Tian feeling uneasy. The upcoming battle is perilous, and he is determined to prepare thoroughly. He decides to use the simulation system to devise an effective attack strategy. The simulation begins, and Lin Tian leads his goblin army in an assault on the elf tribe. He is confident in their victory, but the simulation takes a dark turn. The elves ambush the goblins, who fall into a carefully laid trap. Lin Tian himself is captured by the elf leader and hung in the demon forest as a warning to other goblins. The simulation ends in failure, with no points awarded. Lin Tian is puzzled by the outcome, especially the message that the results were under someone else's control. He quickly concludes that the only explanation is that his tribe is being monitored by the elves. Closing his eyes, he concentrates, relying on the goblin's exceptional hearing and keen sense of smell to detect any irregularities. Sure enough, he picks up on unusual sounds in the distance, confirming his suspicions. Meanwhile, the elves, led by Kasana, are hurrying back to their tribe. Kasana is determined to report to her mother, but is unaware that they have already been discovered. As they near the village, arrows suddenly rain down on them. Kasana is wounded and filled with fear as she sees her fellow elves falling around her. In the distance, Lin Tian and the goblins approach with sinister grins, thrilled to have captured a living elf. Kasana tries to escape, but her wound is too severe. She feels a strange sensation, as if the arrow that struck her was tainted with something. Lin Tian approaches, astonished at how easily he captured Kasana. He remarks, well, what do we have here? Looks like the elf princess has decided to drop by for dinner. Literally. He orders his subordinates to capture all the remaining elves. Chapter #7. When Kasana awakens, she finds herself drenched in an unfamiliar liquid. Her clothes cling to her body, and she feels exposed under the leering eyes of the goblins. She tries to intimidate Lin Tian, calling him a coward and announcing her status as the elf princess. She warns him that if he harms her, the elf queen will annihilate all the goblins in the forest. Lin Tian, unfazed, replies, "Coward? Me? Nah, I just prefer a fair fight. You know, one where I'm guaranteed to win." He reveals that he knows the queen's true intent is to eradicate the goblins. He scoffs at Kasana's claim of her mother's benevolence and throws her to the ground. He then commands the goblins to feast on the dead elves and absorb their abilities. The goblins roar in delight, while Kasana is paralyzed with fear. Lin Tian coldly tells her that he will personally deal with her. The system announces that Lin Tian has reached level 30, gaining new abilities, including invisibility and night vision. The scene shifts to the elf village, where the queen is indulging herself. She is suddenly reminded of Kasana and inquires if her daughter has returned. When informed that Kasana is overdue, the queen grows concerned. She orders a team to find her daughter and eliminate the goblins, but before they can act, the goblin army attacks the elf village. Lin Tian captures the elf queen and forces her to watch as her village burns. The goblins overwhelm the elves, who beg for mercy. Lin Tian reveals that the arrows used by the goblins are coated with a paralyzing fluid, rendering the queen helpless. He offers to spare her life if she agrees to his terms. The queen, realizing her defeat, reluctantly agrees, hoping to protect her remaining children. Lin Tian leans in and whispers, "Congratulations, you've just won the You Get to Live prize. But don't get too excited. It's not a lifelong membership." Chapter #8. The next morning, Kasana and the Elf Queen meet again in the Goblin tribe. Kasana, now a captive, feels hopeless about their future. The Elf Queen embraces her daughter and apologizes for underestimating the goblins. She acknowledges that only women and children remain in the elf tribe, leaving them defenseless. Outside, the captured elf girls are being used by the goblins as reproductive tools. The Elf Queen, heartbroken by the scene, realizes that they have become slaves. She tells Kasana not to lose hope, even in their dire situation. Just then, Lin Tian appears and orders them to wait obediently and bear children for him, promising food in return. The Elf Queen, having accepted her fate, requests to care for the young elves who are playing with the goblin children. Lin Tian, who was once human, understands the bond between mother and child. He hesitates but agrees to her request. As time passes, goblin children are born. All have the appearance of goblins, which horrifies their elf mothers. They refuse to accept the children as their own, but Lin Tian knows these offspring are vital for the tribe's future strength. The goblins continue to grow stronger, but Lin Tian's mind remains focused on revenge against Loa. One day, Lin Tian hears a scream and discovers that two goblins are attempting to assault an elf who has just given birth. Enraged, he kills one of the goblins and sternly reminds the others that elves who have given birth must be given time to recover. "Did I stutter?" he snaps at the remaining goblin, who cowers in fear. This act of discipline earns him some respect from the Elf Queen, who notes that he is different from ordinary goblins. Lin Tian dismisses her praise, stating, "Treat them well, and they might just forget their prisoners, at least for a while." Lin Tian continues to plan his revenge. He uses the simulation system to strategize, choosing to act alone in an attempt to kill Loa. However, the plan fails when a human knight intervenes, killing Lin Tian in the simulation. Realizing the strength of his enemies, Lin Tian decides to venture into human territory to continue his quest for vengeance. Before leaving, Lin Tian places Gobu in charge of the tribe, trusting her to maintain order in his absence. The Elf Queen, worried about his safety, offers to help by using invisibility magic on him. Lin Tian is initially surprised by her concern, but accepts her help, understanding that she is motivated by a desire to protect her children. As Lin Tian leaves the goblin tribe, Gobu promises to take care of the tribe and hopes for his safe return. Lin Tian knows the journey ahead is fraught with danger, but his desire for revenge drives him forward. He turns back and grins at Gobu, saying, "Don't throw any wild parties while I'm gone, unless you invite me."